We are back with another expectations video. This time it is the Denver Nuggets. I know there's a lot of Nuggets fans on the channel. I'm going to be covering them again, and I'm excited to see them this year because they have a couple new players. And the biggest one is probably the addition of Cameron Johnson. And in order to get him, they had to get rid of Michael Porter Jr. If you guys been following the channel, you guys know I didn't want Denver to trade Michael Porter Jr. because I was very high on him. I thought he had the most talent on the team outside of course, Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic. But then during the playoffs, I saw something different. Obviously, he was injured. He had a shoulder strain, but I can't tell if it was a lack of motivation from him or he was really in that much pain. But he should not have been playing that series. The problem is he's too good to just sit on the bench if he's able to play. And now seeing all of these new videos come out about MPJ and all of his interviews and all of his offseason stuff ever since he went to Brooklyn, I'm starting to think it's more on the lack of motivational side. It kind of seems like he didn't want to sacrifice his own game anymore, and he just wanted to have fun. And let's be honest, when you play with Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray, you're gonna have to sacrifice your game a little bit to win a championship, and he did. But last year, I think the biggest reason the Denver Nuggets lost in the playoffs was because of Michael Porter Jr. He was horrible. Just flat out, he was horrible in the playoffs. He was injured, so I'm gonna give him that. But I think with the new addition of Cameron Johnson, who has had NBA Finals experience before with the Phoenix Suns and was a very big part of that team. Actually, when he was traded away with Mikal Bridges from Phoenix, Phoenix kind of fell off a cliff. So he was a big part of a championship team. He has been playing a lot of losing basketball in Brooklyn, so I don't know. He also hasn't really been the healthiest and on the floor all of the time, which is a concern for me. But that also could just be because he was playing for Brooklyn, and some players we've seen it. I know DeAndre Ayton, for example, when they're playing for a tanking team, it's like you have no motivation to even try to play through any type of pain because they're tanking. They're trying to lose on purpose. But I think that's a good situation for Michael Porter Jr. because he just wants to get his. It's going to be interesting to see Cam Thomas with Michael Porter Jr. on the same team, and that's why they drafted 5 point guards. You can't make that up in the NBA draft. But this video is about the Denver Nuggets. I don't want to spend the whole video talking about Cameron Johnson, but it feels like it's like the big talking point of the offseason. But I think another big thing for this team is signing Jonas Valanciunas and actually getting him to play a full season. I was watching media today. I saw Jokic and him having some fun. And it gets me excited because Denver, and we all know this, have not had a good bench the last couple seasons. I don't even know how they won that championship. Big part of it that was also because of Bruce Brown, who they also got back but hasn't been playing winning basketball for the past 2 seasons and also has had injury problems. And like I said earlier, it might be just because he's not motivated to try to fight through pain for an injury or for a tanking team. And maybe he's going to be different, but that was a big part of that bench unit for Denver when they won the championship. And ever since then, it hasn't been what they needed. They tried the Russell Westbrook experiment last year, and at times, hey, Westbrook played good, but at times, I'm not gonna lie, he kind of lost him some games. But in all honesty, that's just the Russell Westbrook experiment and experience. Oh my goodness. And that's why he's not in the league right now, which is kind of sad to say, right? But Russell Westbrook is not on an NBA team. But going back to what I was saying about Jonas Valanciunas, this guy is filling a hole that the Nuggets were badly needed. And last year, I think they really hoped that was going to be filled by their rookie that they drafted in Deron Holmes. And obviously, we've seen he went down with a major season-ending injury in the Summer League last season. And that was a big disappointment. And we saw DeAndre Jordan back up minutes. Now DJ's gone. And it's Jonas Valanciunas, who I think is probably the closest thing to Nikola Jokic in terms of body and size in the NBA. And I think he has potential to actually improve as a center and a player playing alongside Nikola Jokic. I really like Valanciunas' game. And there were seasons or games during the season last year where he was giving Jokic problem because, like I said, he's probably the only other center that's as big as Jokic in the league. And he could do similar things to Jokic. He could handle the ball. He could shoot the ball. He knows how to pass the ball, and he's a threat in the post. So I think it's going to be a little bit better for Denver when Jokic comes out, when even Jamal Murray comes out, because Bruce Brown and Jonas Valanciunas are two very good players to fill, the bench role that they so desperately needed. And then we think about the shooting last year from the Denver Nuggets. They were one of the teams in the league that shot the fewest amount of threes every single game, and it seemed like the only person shooting threes was Jokic. Even Michael Porter Jr. was not really the same from the three-point line last season. Maybe it's just recent bias talking because of what happened in the playoffs, but that's what it felt like to me. In all honesty, Aaron Gordon was probably their second best shooter last year, second most consistent three-point shooter. I believe he shot close to 40%, if not 40% from three. Aaron Gordon was huge last year, and I also think a reason that they were not able to win that Game 7 against the Thunder was because Aaron Gordon was obviously hurt, dealing with that hamstring injury, because he was a big part in the playoffs last year. And like I stated earlier, man, they were hoping to get DaRon Holmes last year, and they're going to be able to get him this year. I watched a couple of his games in the the summer league, and I didn't really see anything crazy, but I think because they have Valanciunas, I could see DaRon Holmes playing the 4. Backup for a little bit more, and he's kind of the replacement for Aaron Gordon, which is kind of what they hoped Dario Saric and Zeke Naji could be last year. And I'm not gonna lie, Zeke kind of shocked me last year. He had some pretty solid games, actually won them a couple games in the regular season. But that being said, I really am hoping to see that production from DaRon Holmes. I'm sure a lot of Nuggets fans are as well. Now, going back to the shooting, right? What was I saying? Aaron Gordon was probably their most consistent shooter outside of Jokic. I mean, you could argue Jamal Murray, whatever. Christian Brown was solid. But they also go out and get a really, really good shooter in Tim Hardaway Jr., who really has been frustrated the last couple seasons in his career. And it's kind of similar, in my opinion, to what Michael Porter Jr. is thinking mindset wise, because Tim Hardaway wants the ball. He wants a bigger role, and he really had to sacrifice his role when he played with Dallas. And it could have just been his dad talking, but Tim Hardaway Sr. was very vocal when he was playing with Luka Doncic about him not getting the ball enough. And I think that's a big reason that Dallas had to go away from him, because he was not very efficient and at times way too aggressive. But I think last season for Tim Hardaway Jr., he really settled into a role and was more efficient than what he was doing with Dallas. So I'm hoping he could buy into the system that Denver has, because he's going to have to. And if he does, he's probably going to be a top 3 shooter on this team, because that's how good he is. We've seen the effect of Julian Strawther against OKC last year in the playoffs. The Julian Strawther game, that's just because they desperately just need a shooter. That's it. They needed a shooter so badly, and with Russ and Christian Brown and DeAndre Jordan and some of these other guys, they were kind of liabilities on the floor. And I'm not going to, and again, like I said, Christian Brown was pretty solid last year, but he's not an elite shooter yet. So I think bringing in Tim Hardaway Jr., who's a vet, is going to be what they wanted or needed from a Julian Strawther standpoint in the playoffs, but couldn't play him because he was a liability on defense. I'm not saying Tim Hardaway's the best defender either, but I'm not saying that's going to be the biggest X factor for the Nuggets, but I think it's something to look at, because I could see Tim Hardaway Jr. blossoming in his role if he accepts it. Of course, they still have Nikola Jokic. We just watched the Eurobasket, and he was dominant like always. Unfortunately, Serbia couldn't make it too far because of injuries with that team, but we know what Nikola Jokic is capable of. I don't think he's slowing down at all. Jamal Murray, obviously, we know he's capable of if he could stay healthy, because it just seemed like last year Jamal Murray was out a lot. And it seemed like towards the earlier portion of the regular season last year, Westbrook was playing so good and Gordon was out as well, that it's like, man, Westbrook got to be this starting guy alongside Jamal and Jokic. And it actually was that for a little bit. If you guys remember earlier in the year last year, Aaron Gordon really wasn't doing that well until later in the regular season. And of course, the playoffs, where he really, came back and found his rhythm again. So I think a big concern and something I'm going to keep my eye on for the Denver Nuggets is going to see how effective Bruce Brown is, because I'm going to be honest, I'm not completely confident in Bruce Brown in the year 2025. I don't think he's the same Bruce Brown that he was when Denver won their championship. But at the same time, like I was saying earlier, he was playing for some pretty bad teams in Toronto, Indiana, before they were elite. And he's played with Jokic before. So I don't know if Bruce Brown could get back to that Bruce Brown that he was, that got that huge contract from Indiana following the finals championship with Denver. But I feel like he kind of needs to be with Westbrook being gone and then really going that direction. In all honesty, my expectations for the Denver Nuggets is the same as always. I think they're going to be top 3 in the West, probably number 2 or 1. And I actually think they got better from last year, getting rid of Michael Porter Jr. and getting Cameron Johnson if he could stay healthy. Adding Bruce Brown, who we seen was a big part. And probably my favorite signing is Jonas Valanciunas. I think Nuggets fans are going to really love Jonas. He does make some mistakes, but it is better than DeAndre Jordan. I think DeAndre Jordan was a huge liability. Even though sometimes he was a lot of fun to watch, I just don't think he was the best fit for Denver when Jokic was coming out. So I love the Valanciunas move. I think the Tim Hardaway and Bruce Brown thing can kind of be iffy, right? But if they play really good, it could really raise the ceiling of this team. And Cameron Johnson, going to be interesting to see how he fits with this team. I don't think it's going to be much different from Michael Porter Jr. They just need a guy to play defense and have some handoff plays or catch and shoot on the weak side. That's all they need. And I don't think Michael Porter Jr. wanted to do that anymore. Like I said, he had a bad shoulder sprain. He said it really hurt. He was in a lot of pain, but he was really, 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 really bad in the playoffs. Like probably the worst player in all of basketball in the playoffs. Like it was so hard to watch. It was so hard to watch. So I think it's a good situation for Denver and Brooklyn. Again, I think the Denver Nuggets improved. I expect them to be top 3 in the West, and I expect them to be contenders this year. Although I think it's going to be hard. Of course, Thunder, are still up there. I'm really high on the Houston Rockets. Like I said, a top 3 seed in the West prediction as well. And I think Denver is right there with those teams. So expectations of the Denver Nuggets are probably even higher than last season. I am kind of sad that to see Michael Porter Jr. go because I thought he was going to be the future of this team. But in the playoffs, it really made me see him different. And obviously in the offseason, I want to know, do you guys as true Nuggets fans feel the same way as I do about Michael Porter Jr.? Seeing all these offseason interviews, I love it. Like, it's entertaining to me as an unbiased fan. I think it's funny. But it's kind of making it seem to me like he did not want to sacrifice what he can do on the floor to win a championship. He just wants to have fun. And I don't know if you guys seen that at all last year at all, even in the playoffs, regular season at all. But I want to know if you guys did see that and see this coming with Michael Porter Jr. or are you caught off guard, or are you just still going to support him and love him either way? So how you guys feeling about that aspect of the team? And again, I know some people in Denver and Nuggets Nation is kind of split on Jamal Murray. So how you guys feeling about him going into the season and acquiring Bruce Brown back, all the new acquisitions? So I want to know where you guys are at so I can kind of gauge what I should expect for this team. But like I said, top 3 in the West is my expectations for the Denver Nuggets. Hit that like button if you guys want to support the channel. I'm going to do Dallas later tonight because I really got to lock in right now. Media Day really got me inspired to get back in basketball mode again because, hey man, you guys know what's going on with me. It's been a lot. I'm going to be honest. It's been a lot. Every day is different. Some days it's just tough to do anything. So I'm here. I'm posting. Leave a comment. Support the channel. Hit the subscribe button. If you're new, go check out the Patreon. Link is in the description. I'm out of here. This is ZTAY. Peace.